Back in the 1970s, Canadians stayed slim for a reason most people never noticed, even though it was part of daily life. Walk into any Canadian home in 1974 and you'd see something that seems impossible today. Families eating together every single night. No one snacking between meals. And here's the thing that really stands out. People weren't trying to lose weight. They just didn't gain it in the first place. The average Canadian woman in 1975 weighed about 140 pounds. Today, that number sits closer to 170. Men? They were around 170 pounds back then. Now it's pushing 200. So what changed? Most people think it's simple. Fast food arrived, portion sizes exploded, we got lazy. But that's not the whole story. There's something deeper going on, something that shaped every single day of life in the 1970s. Something we lost without even realizing it was gone. Picture a typical Tuesday morning in suburban Toronto, 1976. You get out of bed and the floor is cold, really cold. Your breath fogs in the hallway as you pad toward the kitchen. No drive-through coffee waiting. You're making porridge on the stove while the CBC morning show plays on the radio. And that walk to the kitchen? It's just the first of hundreds of steps you'll take today without even thinking about it. One viewer recalls how their mother would say, "Don't spoil your appetite," every time they asked for a snack. Those 3 words, that's all it took. They shaped an entire generation's relationship with food. You ate at meal times, period. Between meals, you waited. You felt actual hunger. And somehow, that was completely normal. Here's what's interesting. Canadian kids in the 1970s disappeared outside after breakfast and didn't come home until the streetlights flickered on. No one tracked them. No one worried. They were climbing trees in High Park, skating on frozen ponds in Winnipeg. It was just childhood. Meals weren't just food back then. They were events. Families gathered around arborite tables in cold kitchens, the radiator clanking in the corner, steam rising from plates of roast beef and boiled carrots. If you didn't eat your dinner, you'd see it again the next day, cold, waiting. Food was precious, not disposable. And that attitude, it stayed with people for life. The 1970s weren't just a different time, they were a different world. And the reason Canadians stayed slim had almost nothing to do with willpower or diet plans. It was built into the fabric of daily life itself. Let me show you what I mean. You know what didn't exist in 1970s Canada? The concept of getting your steps in. Nobody wore a fitness tracker. People moved constantly, but they never thought about it. You wanted to change the TV channel? You walked across the room, all 3 channels. You needed to make a phone call? You walked to the phone mounted on the kitchen wall, the one with the long, curly cord. A Canadian housewife in 1975 would walk miles without leaving her property, hanging wet laundry on the clothesline behind the house, even in January, when the sheets would freeze stiff as boards, walking down basement stairs to retrieve mason jars of preserves from the cold cellar, kneading bread dough by hand, pushing a manual lawn boy mower across the yard. Every single one of these tasks burned calories, and they happened every single day. And the cold, let's talk about the cold for a second, because this matters more than you'd think. Canadian homes in the 1970s were freezing by today's standards. You'd wake up to frost on the inside of your bedroom window. Actual ice. Most families kept the thermostat around 60 degrees, maybe 55 at night. Your body burned hundreds of extra calories every day just trying to stay warm. One woman in her 80s still remembers shivering through breakfast in her Montreal kitchen, layered in 2 sweaters, while her mother cooked Red River cereal on the stove. The whole family would crowd around that electric coil, hands wrapped around mugs of Nescafe. Today, we keep our homes at 72 degrees year-round and wonder why we gain weight in winter. But here's where it gets really interesting. The infrastructure of daily life demanded movement, not optional movement, required movement. Most Canadian families had 1 car, if they had one at all. and Dad drove it to work. That meant Mom and the kids. They walked, everywhere, to Dominion for groceries, to the butcher, to Kresge's, to school. A trip to buy groceries wasn't one stop at a massive supermarket. It was 4 or 5 stops at different shops. The butcher for pork chops, the bakery for bread still warm if you got there early, the corner store where the owner knew your name for milk in bags and eggs. Each stop required a walk. You carried everything home by hand, brown paper bags getting damp in the snow. Canadian kids in the 1970s walked 2 to 3 miles every single day, just getting to school and back. In winter, through snow. In spring, through slush. They didn't get driven unless the weather was truly dangerous. They walked. And when they got home, they didn't sit down. Childhood in the 1970s was almost entirely outdoors. You finished your cornflakes, grabbed your toque and snow pants and went outside. You stayed there until dinner. Sometimes until the streetlights came on and you heard your mom yelling your name from the porch. What were you doing out there? Running? Climbing? Building snow forts with rooms and tunnels, playing road hockey with a frozen tennis ball, skating on the outdoor rink where the Zamboni was just the neighborhood dad with a barrel of water on a sled, sledding until your snow pants were soaked through. There were no play dates, no scheduled activities. Kids just played, hard, for hours. A 10-year-old in Vancouver might bike 5 miles to a friend's house, spend the afternoon building a treehouse, then bike home for dinner. Nobody thought twice about it. Let's talk about what Canadians actually ate in the 1970s. Home cooking wasn't a choice. It was the only option. Fast food barely existed in Canada before the mid-1970s. The first McDonald's opened in Richmond, BC in 1967, but they were rare. Most small towns didn't have one until the 1980s. If you wanted to eat, someone had to cook it from scratch. And Canadian mothers cooked every single day. Roast chicken on Sunday, shepherd's pie on Monday using Sunday's leftovers, meatloaf on Tuesday, fish on Friday, casseroles with names like Shipwreck, stews that simmered all afternoon, the kitchen windows fogging up from the steam. A Canadian woman now in her 80s still picks a roast chicken carcass clean to this day, making soup, sandwiches, and rice dishes from what's left. Old habits from the 1970s never die. Waste wasn't tolerated. If you didn't finish your dinner, you'd see it cold on your plate at breakfast. One mother's rule: you don't have to like it, but you do have to eat it. The portions were smaller too, but not because people were dieting. Food was expensive. A family of 5 might share 1 chicken for dinner, stretched with potatoes and vegetables. Meat was often just 3 ounces, surrounded by mountains of vegetables. If you were hungry between meals, you were told to wait, or maybe you got an apple. A slice of bread with margarine. That was it. One viewer remembers their Saturday treat, 25 cents for the corner store. That bought a small bag of penny candies, maybe a crispy crunch or a caramel bar, 1 chocolate bar, for the whole week. Now we keep family-sized bags of Halloween candy in the pantry year-round. The concept of drinking hundreds of calories without noticing didn't exist either. Water came from the tap. Milk came in bags, the kind you had to slide into a plastic pitcher and snip the corner off. Pop was a birthday treat. A 2-liter bottle of Coke at a family gathering was shared among 8 people. Today, a single person drinks that much in an afternoon. And dinner time? That was sacred. The whole family sat down together at 6 p.m. sharp. No TV, no distractions. You ate what was on your plate, you didn't complain. And you didn't leave the table until everyone was finished. Dinner wasn't just about food, it was about family, structure, routine. The food itself was simpler, yes, but it was also real. Butter, not margarine, lard for pie crusts, whole milk in bags, bread from the bakery, eaten within 2 days before it went stale. The food Canadians ate in the 1970s didn't have ingredient lists you needed a chemistry degree to understand. It was just food. So what happened? How did we go from a nation of naturally slim people to one where 2/3 of adults are overweight. Here's the surprising part. It didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, one small convenience at a time. McDonald's locations spread across Canada throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s. Suddenly, you didn't have to cook. You could grab dinner through a drive-through window. It was cheap. It was fast. It was heavily marketed to kids with Happy Meals and playgrounds. And it tasted good, engineered to hit every pleasure center in your brain. By 1985, fast food restaurants were everywhere. Harvey's, Swiss Chalet, Pizza Hut, KFC. Convenience replaced home cooking, and portion sizes started to grow. A meal that used to feed a family of 4 now came in a value size meant for one person. But this next shift, this is even bigger. Food companies realized they could make billions by convincing people to eat between meals. Granola bars marketed as healthy, juice boxes marketed to kids, diet foods that replaced fat with sugar. An entire industry built around making people eat more often. But here's where things really changed. The real shift wasn't just about food, it was about movement, or the complete lack of it. Cars became essential. By the 1990s, almost every household had 2. Kids stopped walking to school. Moms stopped walking to neighborhood stores because most had closed, replaced by massive Loblaws and Safeway stores on the edge of town. Every innovation designed to make life easier also made us more sedentary. Kids who used to play outside for 8 hours a day started spending that time indoors, in front of screens. Childhood itself changed. Parents became afraid. Stranger danger became a constant fear. By the 2000s, the idea of a 7-year-old biking across town alone seemed insane. Kids needed supervision, scheduled activities, organized sports instead of free play. And when they weren't being supervised, they were inside, safe, sitting down. The cold disappeared from our homes, too. Every single change made sense at the time. Who wouldn't want the convenience of fast food, the comfort of a warm home, the safety of driving kids to school? But together, these tiny shifts completely transformed how Canadians lived, and our bodies couldn't adapt fast enough. We went from burning 3,000 calories a day through normal life to burning maybe 1,800. We went from eating 3 modest meals to grazing constantly on calorie-dense processed foods. The math was brutal. An extra 200 calories a day, that's 1 muffin, 1 can of Coke, adds up to 20 pounds of weight gain per year if you don't burn it off. And we didn't, because modern life doesn't demand movement anymore. It demands sitting. In cars, at desks, on couches. Here's the hard truth. We can't go back to 1975. The world has changed. But you can limit screens. You can send them outside and let them be bored. Canadian kids in the 1970s weren't happier because their parents hovered. They were happier because they were free. You can't eliminate processed food from grocery stores, but you can choose not to buy it. You can cook more meals from scratch. You can make Sunday dinner a non-negotiable family event. You can teach your kids that food is something you sit down and pay attention to. You can't change modern work culture, but you can make small choices. Park farther away. Take the stairs. Walk to the corner store instead of driving. The lesson from the 1970s isn't about deprivation or going backward. It's about understanding what we lost and why it mattered. Canadians stayed slim because daily life demanded it. Food was fuel, not entertainment. Movement was unavoidable. Family meals were sacred. Waste was unthinkable. Those aren't diet tips. They're values. And values can't be marketed or sold or made convenient. They have to be chosen every single day. Picture this. A cold Saturday morning in February 1977. You're 10 years old. You wake up to frost on your window and the smell of your mom's coffee brewing downstairs, that unmistakable scent of Folgers in a tin can. You pull on your snow pants, still damp from yesterday, your toque, your mittens connected by a string through your coat sleeves. You head outside into air so cold, it makes your lungs ache. The neighborhood kids are already gathering at the outdoor rink. Someone's dad flooded it last night. The ice is perfect. You lace up your skates and step onto the ice. You play shinny for hours. No refs, no rules, just kids and a puck and the sound of sticks clacking. You play until you can't feel your toes anymore. When you finally come inside, your cheeks are burning. Your mom is waiting in the kitchen. She hands you a mug of hot chocolate made from milk and Nesquik powder, stirred on the stove. Nobody says anything. You just sit there, feeling the warmth come back to your fingers, listening to the radiator clank. That's what we lost. Not perfection. Just a different way of living. A way where our bodies moved and our families sat together, and food was simple and precious, and childhood meant being outside, being free, being cold and alive and part of the world around you. If you found this eye-opening, subscribe for more deep looks into Canadian history that explain how we got here.